show of hands, how many of you guys know that there's an elephant sanctuary in Tennessee? Oh my God, I love this. Most of the time I talk to people and they're like, no idea. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk very quickly because I could talk for 2 hours and Kim and Patrick gave me 20 minutes. So,
and time for questions after.
so if I talk fast, I apologize, but I do want you to ask questions too. I don't want to just talk at you guys for the next 20 minutes. So go ahead and ask questions as we're going as well. But I'm going to start by talking about the mission of the Elephant Sanctuary. So the Elephant Sanctuary, it has a really unique mission, and the fact that we have 3 parts to that mission. The first is to provide a natural habitat for African and Asian elephants, where those elephants are provided with lifetime care. This mission actually changed this year, and part of that change was adding that lifetime care to our mission. When an elephant comes to sanctuary, they are there for the rest of their life, no matter how long or short they have left, which means sometimes those elephants come into our care on end-of-life care or hospice care, while others have lived there for over 25 years. And we see everything in between, and we're willing to take those elephants in no matter what. The second part of our mission is to support and promote elephant welfare and conservation. Taking care of elephants is beyond the gates in Hohenwald, Tennessee, but it is around the world. Making sure we're taking care of those elephants, helping support elephants and the organizations that are doing elephant conservation. And finally, educating the public on the complex needs of elephants and the challenges facing elephants in the wild. So you guys spending a couple minutes with me today, having me here as your speaker, actually helping our mission. So thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be here. The Elephant Sanctuary was founded in 1995, so this year is actually our 30th anniversary with elephants here in Tennessee. And we are the nation's largest habitat for African and Asian elephants. We have over 3,000 acres for our 14 elephants. We actually have 3,060 specifically. And I work with kids a lot, so I have to give a lot of explanations, and this one helps me actually understand it. I know all of you guys have seen a football field, right? One football field is about the equivalent to 1.2 acres. So if you put approximately 2,300 football fields together, that is how big Sanctuary is. It is a very large piece of property, about an hour and a half away from here in Hohenwald, Tennessee. Have any of you guys ever gone down to Lewis County, Hohenwald area?
Yeah.
Ooh, some of you guys.
Yeah.
It is super rural. It is one of the smaller counties in Tennessee. We actually only have 12,000 people in the entire county of Lewis County in Tennessee. Now, outside of space, what makes us different than a traditional zoo? You guys have Nashville Zoo not too far away. And the biggest one is that we're actually close to the public. We don't have visitors, we don't have guests, we don't have tours out where the elephants live on those 3,000 acres. Now, we do have a museum space in downtown Hohenwald. That's where you can come and find me and my team, where we do education, but we don't have an elephant there for you to see because we think that our elephants have earned their right just to be elephants. And so they don't have to deal with people, they don't have to do tricks, they don't have to be anywhere at a certain time. They just get to spend their time being elephants. Let me start by talking about the natural history of elephants a little bit, just so you can get an idea of what that looks like. But there's actually 3 species of elephants that are alive in the world today. The first on the your left-hand side, is the African savanna elephant. The middle is the Asian elephant, and the right is the African forest elephant. That is by size order, from African savanna being the largest to African forest being the smallest. And there are quite a few differences in those species, and I have named a couple of them, but the most that people acknowledge are those ears. African elephants, both species, have these really large round ears that are large, round, and flat. Asian elephants, their ears are much smaller, and they actually have a fold along the top of them, which is a really great way to identify the difference. But the one I use, which most people don't know about, is their body shape. So African elephants are tallest at their head, and their shoulders and their hips are taller, and they have a concave back. Asian elephants, they're real round, which makes it so it's a slightly different experience in understanding their size. And I can real round right there. That's Minnie, she's really round. And then the last difference is going to be their tusks. All African elephants, both males and females, can grow tusks, but with Asian elephants, only the males can. Female Asian elephants do not grow tusks, so great biological differences between these elephants. Another great way to talk about elephants is to talk about their social structure. Elephants are a matriarchy. They are led by a female. Now, typically it's the oldest and wisest female in the herd, but she's not just the leader, but she's also the teacher. She is the one that makes the decision. She's also the one that has been taught where the water is during droughts. She is also going to be the one teaching those elephants how to avoid conflict within the group. She's the one teaching them how to be an elephant. I always like to talk about the importance of a matriarch in the social structure because we don't always see the same behaviors in our elephants in the United States, because most of the time the elephants in the United States weren't raised by a matriarch. They weren't raised in the wild by these big matriarchal herds. They were raised by humans. Almost all of our elephants, with the exception of one, were born in the wild and taken out of the wilds under the age of 5. So because of that, they were raised by humans and they have those different behaviors. So that leads us to the story of one of our elephants. This is Billy. Billy was born in India in 1962, and the first document we have of her in the United States was in 1966. She was a petting zoo elephant named Popsicle. Now, when she was overgrown from that petting zoo and she got too big, she went into circus life. And that life was not always the best for her. She was going from place to place to place, traveling, doing tricks. She was trained using a lot of dominance, force, and punishment. If she did something she wasn't supposed to do, she would be punished for that. If she decided to do something different, she could have food kept from her. It wasn't a great environment, and it wasn't for a lot of circus elephants back in the day. The whole point of negative reinforcement is to know that the human is the dominant animal in that relationship, and the animal needs to listen to the human. And Billy became a pretty popular circus elephant. If you look at this top picture here, Billy is the one on the far right there. That is her in the Hawthorne 5. She was a showgirl. But at one point in the 80s, she was deemed aggressive. Now, when an elephant was deemed aggressive back then, they were taken off the road. They were not allowed to be in performance life anymore. So Billy was kept in the winter headquarters of the Hawthorne Corporation, the organization that owned her. And for 13 years, she was kept in what we would consider a solitary confinement. It was not a great environment. It was a 20 by 20 stall with little to no interactions with humans or other elephants. In that time, the Hawthorne Corporation got into a lot of trouble with the U.S. government. And at one point, they had 47 violations against the Animal Welfare Act due to abuse, neglect, lack of veterinary care, lack of food, all of the things. And in between 2003 and 2006, they actually got rid of all their elephants because of the problems that that organization was facing. Billy came here on February 6th, 2006 as part of a really large transfer. We actually received 8 elephants within a 2-week time frame. Billy, because she was still aggressive, a lot of the care staff of that organization did not trust her to take her ankle chain off of her. This chain is a way that they controlled them. And we weren't going to force her to let us do that because that was not something she wanted us to do. She was showing us aggression when we tried to do that. So we left it on her. It was kind of like a bracelet. It was attached to her foot, but it wasn't attached to anything else. She still got to experience sanctuary with that. But we always wanted to take that off. Well, between 2006 and 2011, we changed our management style of elephants. We went from full contact, which means that we were sharing space with elephants, to protected contact. Protected contact means that we do not share space with elephants. There's always a physical barrier in between a human and an elephant. Protected contact is important for 2 main reasons. Number 1, our safety. Our smallest elephant is over 7,000 pounds. For our safety, we stay on one side, they stay on the other. But also the other reason is to give them autonomy and choice over their life. If we're doing a training session with them or we're asking them to do a behavior and they don't want to, they can walk away. And they know we will not come after them. We're not going to force them. They are able to walk away and have that choice and control over their own life, that autonomy. So in the 5 years, she was transferred to protected contact, as were all of our elephants. And within 6 months of Billy becoming protected contact, she willingly presented her foot and allowed us to cut that chain off of her. I don't know about you guys, I don't think it was that big of a deal in Billy's life because it was just another day, but it was a huge deal for us because that was her last remaining sign of her life from circuses, and she was able to let go of that and allow us to cut that chain off of her and really let go of that life before coming to Sanctuary. Billy's life has been highlighted a lot because there's actually a book. We worked with an investigative journalist named Carol Bradley who wrote the book, The Last Chain on Billy. It's a book that is highlighting the plight circus elephants have gone through in the United States in the last couple hundred years, but through Billy's story. And Billy is still there today. I'm not going to tell you a sad story with a sad ending. Billy is actually our oldest elephant at the Elephant Sanctuary. She is 63 years old. Her story is so amazing because she overcame so much. She was able to do so much and overcame a lot of obstacles to be an elephant that we have there today. 36 elephants have had the opportunity to come to Sanctuary and have the same experience of true Sanctuary. We currently have 14 elephants that live there. And I want to quickly highlight what protected contact looks like. So all three of the things you see in these pictures are us doing medical care on these elephants through protected contact. This top picture is Flora getting blood work so we can check her blood, make sure she's healthy. This bottom left is us doing an x-ray of Flora's tusks to make sure she hasn't cracked them. And finally, this right picture is Sukari, who I'll talk a little bit more about, but some of you guys might know Sukari. Getting a dental exam and checking her teeth. We don't use expensive dental equipment with elephants because they can bite down and they can ruin equipment. So we actually use plumber's cameras that are a couple $100, put it in their mouth to get pictures of their teeth so we can check on them. And if they decide to bite down, it's not going to be us out thousands and thousands of dollars. It's just a couple hundred, which I think is a really cool vet technique. I'm going to keep going, but if anybody does have any questions, just go ahead and yeah, I see some questions.
Tara's still there?
Tara is no longer at Sanctuary, unfortunately. She was our founding elephant and she is no longer at Sanctuary.
Carol, is she still involved?
So we were founded by a couple, Carol and Scott, and neither one of them are still involved with the organization. They both moved on in the 2010-ish, I believe is the correct years. Both of them moved on, and Tara actually moved to be at Carol's facility in 2021.
I just have a quick comment.
Yeah.
I'm friends. I'm a college friend of Carol Bradley.
Yeah.
Who wrote that book, and I heard her as she was, make comments as she was writing. I know how much writing that book meant to her.
I heard she's got a new book that she's working on that I'm so excited to read. She has done something about the puppy mill industry before, and then she did this one, and now I think she's working on one about tigers is the last thing I heard.
I believe so.
Which
Yes.
I just think is so incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned about the females
Mhm.
ruling the roost, for lack of better words, the herd. What do the males do?
So in the wild, males get kicked out. They get kicked out once they hit about sexual maturity. And so we've actually been working with one of our international partners. Her name is Caitlin O'Connell, and her research is actually highlighting male elephant social structure. Historically, we've thought males are solitary beings, and that they are kind of just like individuals, roaming around trying to find a herd to hang out with. But what we found in the last couple of years in her research is that males are highly social, but those social units look different than the female herds that we are familiar with. You guys think about those herds in the pictures of Africa, those are all female elephants that are living together. It's moms, sisters, aunties, cousins, nieces, all of them living together. The males, once they get to a certain age, go and they do form social bonds with other males, but typically it's like an older male has a couple teenage boys that like to hang out with him and learn how to be a bull from him. So they do have their own social uniqueness, but they get kicked out and they kind of have a different social needs than the females do. Yeah?
How do you protect the elephants from the cold weather we have here rather than where they came from?
That is a great solution into this map that we see behind me. Step into this map. So we actually have 5 different barns on the property. So on this map, you'll see our sycamore barn. That's our original piece of property. That has 2 barns, which holds 4 female Asian elephants. Then we have our redbud habitat. We're actually in the middle of an expansion on our redbud barn. That is a 5-stall barn that's able to handle African female elephants. So in the winter time, and we have the willow hat barn, we have the hickory barn, we have the buckeye barn. Each barn is heated. They have radiated heated flooring, and the elephants, they use it as like their home base. So in the really cold days or really cold months, which we get a little bit, but it usually melts out in the next couple of days. It doesn't stick around here like it does if you go farther north. So in those cold days, they just tend to go into their barns more often. They get extra snacks in their barns, but they're still able to go and explore the cold and things like that as well. But they have nice cushioned, cozy barns as well. Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah?
So with the barns, then those are just open, so the elephants can go or not go. It's not like no one rounds them up and makes sure they're in there, but they just learn that that's a nice warm spot, and they learn that from the other elephants, I'm guessing.
Well, and that's where we put them when they first get here. So when they first get here, so we actually just received 2 elephants from the Louisville Zoo 3 months ago, June 3rd and 4th. They came here from the Louisville Zoo. That's their home base when they first get here. We want that to be their comfort space. Think about a dog and their kennel, right? We want that kennel to be a place that they are so comfortable in, that they like to sleep in. It's not a scary place for them. Their barn is the same. We want that to be a comfort place for them, but we also want them to go be an elephant. And so every elephant's gonna be slightly different in their steps of how to get comfortable in all of the places. But that's where they get extra snacks. That's where they get the good snacks sometimes. But also we want to encourage them to be elephants. So we kind of have to walk a fine line of when do they need to be staying inside, when do they need to be staying outside. We don't keep them inside unless it's under a certain temperature for extended times. And because of that, we have closed them in at night, but that's for very, very short stints. And the next morning we're like, okay, open the doors, go be an elephant. And they're like, it's cold out there. We're good. I have a question over here, and then I'll go to you over there.
What about barns for the nails?
Yeah, so this buckeye habitat actually was built for our boys. Because boys are a lot bigger, they're a lot stronger, and they have a lot more needs. So the buckeye barn we actually built a couple years ago, as well as the willow habitat barn. Both of those barns are bigger, stronger, and able to hold male elephants to meet their needs as well. Yeah.
What's their preferred browse from the native habitat that you found? Do they prefer specific trees to others?
Yes. So something that they love that's actually not native is Bradford pear trees, which is an invasive species around here, right? And they are grown everywhere, but the elephants love Bradford pear browse and cuttings as well. But they'll also eat pine. We do a Christmas tree drive at the end of every year. So at the beginning of in January, we actually have people bring their Christmas trees after they've taken all the tinsel and Christmas ornaments off of it, and then we can give it out to the elephants, and they will eat most of it. As long as it's not too thick, they'll eat it. Yeah.
What is the standard sleep cycle, wake cycle for an elephant?
So elephants sleep, an adult healthy elephant is gonna sleep only about 2 to 4 hours a day. But that's not them getting in bed with their teddy bear and a blankie and getting cozy like humans. It's gonna be more like small naps throughout the day. So we will see them take like a 30-minute nap here or a 45-minute nap there. They can sleep standing up a lot, and they do, but they get their best REM sleeps laying down completely. So we try to give them, because a lot of our elephants, actually almost every single one except for one, is considered geriatric. We like to get weight off of their feet. So we really want to give them like things they can lean on or things that they can help get them up and down. So you'll see sand hills a lot in our habitat spaces, and those sand hills are helping them so that they can lay down, but they don't feel like they're completely horizontal, and it's harder to get up. So sleep is going to depend on each elephant. Billy loves sleep, and she has no problem sleeping 8 hours in a night. And she has a nice barn that's actually designed just for her because she is an old lady and needs that. Yeah. I want to quickly introduce you to the 14 elephants that live at Sanctuary, and then what I'm going to do is pull up some live cameras and see what the elephants are up to as we speak. So I'm going to introduce you to our 6 female African elephants first. Edie, for any of you guys that are from or are know a lot about East Tennessee, Edie actually was a Knoxville Zoo elephant before Knoxville Zoo stopped having elephants. Then we have Nosy, and Nosy for me is the poster child of see something, say something. She was a circus elephant that was traveling around. There were letter writing experiences trying to get Nosy out of circus life. And on November 8th, 2017, we got a phone call from the Lawrence County dog catcher, Lawrence County, Alabama, dog catcher. And they were like, hey, are you guys familiar with this elephant named Nosy? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, so we need you to send a truck down here. Somebody had called the local animal control and said, hey, I see an animal in bad welfare. And so they went out there, and the dog catcher was like, you're right, this is an animal in bad welfare, and confiscated her on the spot. The dog catcher had no idea what to do with an elephant. So they gave us a call and they got it figured out. But somebody saw something that they didn't like and they made a change that has made a huge impact on this elephant, but also elephants around the country. And then we have Mickey, who moved here from the Louisville Zoo in Louisville, Kentucky, just a couple months ago, as I already told you. Then we have Flora, who's the sassiest elephant. She has a bad habit of sometimes throwing rocks when she wants attention and liking attention. She was raised more like a pet or an only child than like an elephant. And then we have Sukari. Sukari was actually a Nashville Zoo elephant between 2000 and 2015. So if any of you guys visited the Nashville Zoo at that time, you probably saw Sukari. Yeah, and then we actually got all of the Nashville Zoo elephants in 2015. Sadly, 2 of them have passed away, but Sukari is the one that is left from that herd. And the last but not least is Tangi. Tangi is our matriarch. She is really the quiet matriarch that she tells the other elephants who's boss, but she's not aggressive or dominant about that. Then we have our 6 female Asian elephants. We have Ronnie, Minnie, Billy, and Debbie, which were 4 of the Hawthorne elephants before those elephants left the Hawthorne Corporation, then they came here. Minnie is huge. She did not get the memo that African elephants are bigger than Asian elephants are. She's our heaviest female at 11,000 pounds. Wow. We have Ronnie, who's our social butterfly. I won't talk much more about Billy. And then we have Debbie. Debbie loves naps, and I'm gonna pull up our live cameras here in a minute. And Debbie loves to lay on out in the middle of the habitat space, just lay out. And then we get phone calls from people like, hey, can you go check on this elephant? I think something's wrong. It's just Debbie, she's napping. Then we have Sissy, who is a superhero. Sissy was in a zoo in Texas and it flooded in the 80s and she was completely submerged underwater for over 36 hours. The only way she survived was by holding her trunk above that water for that time to breathe. She then went from zoo to zoo to zoo. And her final zoo, she actually had a video of her being rebroken or physically abused that came out into the local news. The community she was in was so outraged by this experience that they actually did a GoFundMe back in 1999 before GoFundMes were a thing. And they raised enough money to send Sissy to Sanctuary, and she is our longest tenured resident here at Sanctuary. And finally, Punch, who is the other Louisville Zoo elephant that just moved here a couple months ago. And then finally, our 2 boys. We have questions about these boys. These boys are huge. I thought Minnie and Flora were big, and then we got Artie and Osh, and I was like, wow, these are some big elephants. Artie moved here from the North Carolina Zoo in January 2023. He does not have tusks. That doesn't mean he doesn't have them. It means that they broke off when he was young. He's perfectly healthy. He's able to do all the normal elephant things. He just does them without tusks. And finally, we have Osh, who is our big boy. He just moved here from Oakland Zoo in Oakland, California, about a year ago now. And he is 15,500 pounds and about 12 feet tall. So he's a very large animal. All right, I could talk some more, but what I want to do is pull up our live cameras, and then I'm going to take questions while we look at those cameras. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, give me 1 second. Erin can also answer some questions while I pull this up, if that's okay. Putting her on the spot.
How are you guys funded?
We actually get the majority of our donations from family foundations and individuals. We have people that are around the world, but primarily in the United States, who just are really passionate about elephants. I mean, we've got people that are giving at, $10, kind of levels, and people who are leaving their estates with the elephant sanctuaries.
Wow, that's great.
How do you handle the death?
What's that?
How do you handle the body?
Oh, that's my favorite question. Oh, so sorry. That sounds so bad. We have a 3-step process. So first thing we do is we actually let the other elephants in the herd see the body. It has been scientifically proven that elephants mourn and grieve, so we want the other elephants to see that. Number two, we do a necropsy. That's the animal equivalent to an autopsy. We want to check their body because the last thing that they can give us is the science to make sure that we are caring for the living elephants within our herd for as long as possible. If we keep seeing the same problem that every elephant has, how can we alleviate that so that the future elephants, the elephants we currently have, don't have that problem? And last but not least, we bury them. So we actually bury every single elephant on site, and we have memorial stones at those elephants' burial sites.
But the barriers require construction equipment, backhoes and.
We have a lot of
cranes
those.
and all of that.
We have a maintenance team of 10 people-ish, and they do everything from digging holes to changing out light bulbs in my office to welding fences that keep elephants in and everything in between.
And what's cool about the necropsy too is that we do have a really state-of-the-art lab on site. And so we will have tissue samples that a lot of times other research facilities or schools will call and ask us if they're wanting to look at something specific that maybe we don't know where it passed from. And so that's how we also share with other people who are working on elephant welfare and conservation.
Do the elephants come in?
Morgan, what's your name?
I'm sorry.
I realize they're geriatric, but I have to ask this, are they still having sex and do they ever have any babies?
I haven't seen that.
That's Aaron's like, I haven't seen it. So an elephant never goes through what we would consider menopause. So female elephants can technically get pregnant at any point up until their 70s. Now, after about 40 to 45, it's not healthy to do that, especially in captive environments. So currently our males and our females are separate so that we don't have any oopsies. Neither of our males have ever had successfully bred a female in the past. They've both been around females and never successfully bred them. Does that mean that they can't? No. That means that they haven't. So something we are doing is we are just keeping them separate, and we're having conversations about what birth control looks like. We're also having conversations of, are our female elephants going through estrus? So sometimes female elephants stop going through estrus, which means that they're not able to get pregnant at that time. That doesn't mean that they can't in the future. So we're doing a lot of urine samples to just look at hormones of elephants before we do introductions between males and females. Technically, any of the elephants can have sex, but we don't want offspring to be results of that. And so we're just doing our due diligence before we introduce them so that no oopsies happen.
Do the elephants come to the grave sites of their deceased compatriots?
I've got an answer, but I don't love my answer. If you want me to be completely honest. So we see them sometimes go over to the grave sites when they have access to it. Tara used to go over to the gravesite of her dog. Some of the elephants go over to the grave sites. But you have to remember that a lot of the time in elephant care and in animal care, we are making an assumption that that's what's happening. There has been scientifically proven that elephants visit memorial sites of other elephants, but most of those are familial bonded elephants. None of our elephants are related to one another. They don't have as strong of bonds as those wild elephant herds. So are they going over to the elephant's grave to grieve that elephant? I like to think so because that makes my heart warm, but scientifically, is that what's happening? I can't give you a good answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you play any music or other sounds for the elephants?
Yes. So, my VPN's not working. I'm so sorry. Yes, we do. One of our care staffs he actually plays the cello, and Sissy loves music, and she will just stand there and like bang on things whenever she hears that. It's one of her favorite things. So every elephant's different, but yeah, sometimes we do play them music. Some of the caregivers like to listen to audiobooks while they're working, and it's really funny because they'll just have it blasting in the barn, and the elephants are like, cool.
Two quick questions. Are there other sanctuaries in the country, and then why Hole in the Wall?
That's a great question. Why Hohenwald, I can answer first, and the answer is happenstance. Our founders had an elephant in the 90s that was at the Nashville Zoo for a short term. They started looking for land because they decided to get out of the performance business. So they were looking, and somebody pointed them down in Lewis County. They were like, go check out Lewis County, the land is cheap. And it was in the 90s. And so they found 110 acres that just met their needs specifically, perfectly, right? And so then we've just grown from there, bought land that we were adjacent to, the paper mill we were adjacent to, all of the things. And so that's where that started. There's one other true elephant sanctuary in the United States. I use the word true sanctuary. We belong to two governing bodies. The first is AZA, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. The second is the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, GFAS. GFAS holds us accountable to the highest standard of sanctuary care in the United States. There's only one other elephant sanctuary that belongs to GFAS, and that is in California. It's called PAWS, P-A-W-S, the Performing Animal Welfare Society.
One quick follow-up, is that kind of a natural track for a post-entertainment elephant to end up going to, kind of a sanctuary? Or ideally, I would imagine other ways that would go.
I don't think there is a exact track for any performance elephant. Because some zoos realize, you know what, this elephant's too old. I think it's not a great instance for us to just like send this elephant away, and so they keep that elephant. There's a facility down in Florida where the entirety of the Ringling Brother elephant herd ended up, and they kept that herd together, and they actually have, I think, like 1,800 acres for that herd, and it's called White Oak Conservancy. They belong to AZA as well. Yeah. My live cameras are not working on my computer, so what I'm going to do is pull up what we have on our website so you guys can see that.
Quick question, can we go to your website and look at your live cam?
Yes, you can. So I'm going to actually show you how to do that. You're going to go to elephants.com.
That's pretty simple.
We got real lucky with that one. And then you're going to go to the Ellie cam at the top, and then you can pull up our live cameras to show what is going on at Sanctuary. There we go. Perfect. There's a couple elephants out here. So this is one of our live cameras. I was going to pull it up from the back end on my side, but this works too. This is Ronnie, Debbie, and Minnie. I think Ronnie and Debbie are in the back, and then Minnie is closer up. But I can't always tell them from their bums. But what I can tell you is that Ronnie is the smallest of the three. So these are live cameras. This is what's happening as we speak in Hohenwald.
What's the building in the back?
That's one of the barns. So you guys were asking about their barns. That is our Sycamore barn. That was actually our very original barn that we had at Sanctuary. It's kind of a chilly morning, so a lot of them will probably go back to their barn today. Yeah.
Is Tennessee a good state because of our fall seasons that we have, or is there a better climate relevance? A, B, how do they adapt to storms, lightning, thunder, snow, those type of things?
Tennessee's a pretty good one because we have a lot of vegetation because we have 4 seasons. So we have so much really healthy vegetation in the summertime that it actually makes it so that we supplement very little of their diet in the summertime, and we supplement a majority of it in the winter time, so it kind of evens out. It's a great climate. It also doesn't get too cold here. Yes, we'll get a couple weeks of cold weather, but that's not going to be it's not extending throughout the year like it is farther up north, so it's good. It gets warm here, so they have some heat there. It's pretty good for them. And you have to remember, all of our elephants have been in captivity most of their life. So some of our elephants love the snow because they lived in Minnie, this elephant that's closest to us. She actually spent 18 years in a zoo in Canada. So she doesn't seem to mind the cold and is the first one out after a snowstorm. They don't seem to mind it. Some of our elephants are a little bit apprehensive. It's 90 seconds and then we'll refresh. I'll have to refresh it. It's just how it goes. Actually, I'll go to the other cameras to see if we can find some more elephants. But yeah, it doesn't seem to mind them. Certain elephants do have some experiences that they get a little bit more anxious. So Sissy, because of the flood she was in, is a little bit more apprehensive and likes to be inside during storms. So it's just elephant by elephant, and every elephant's an individual. Yeah?
I met Carol Buckley in 1995, right at the time that she had just started.
Yeah.
I met Tara with her. That land was nothing but dirt. I remember on a Sunday, cold Sunday, Carol would come to my print shop to pick up the donation flyer that I printed for her with thigh-high rubber boots covered in mud. I mean, that lady, that place was her absolute life.
Yeah.
She spent her entire life in there, and God bless her wherever she is right now, and I hope that she's doing well.
She is working with elephants. Actually, Tara moved to her refuge down in Georgia a couple years ago. She has
Where did she move? I'm sorry.
South Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's still working with elephants. She's just doing it somewhere else. Yeah.
Besides, obviously taking care of elephants, how much research is going on? It looks like you're doing research. Are you looking for different things? Is that a big component of what you all do?
So we don't, how do I put this? So a lot of our research comes from necropsies. Because if we take steps to do research with our living elephants, sometimes it gets a little invasive and we don't love that. So sometimes we'll add a little bit of extra blood that we're taking during blood draws, but we don't want to make it so that it's like their lives are going to research, because that's not what the definition of sanctuary is. So we do urine samples and collections, and we'll do testing on that. Fecal, we have a lot of poop we could test. We have no problem with that one. And blood samples and then necropsy samples is what we do research in. We're doing a lot of research on tuberculosis. So we have a herd of elephants. This herd of elephants that we just saw, Minnie, Ronnie, and Debian, they are 4 elephants that came with active cases of tuberculosis. And so because of that, we're doing a lot of research and being like stewards of that. There's a lot of research in elephant conservation right now on something called EEHV, which is elephant herpes virus, and we're helping support them through samples as well. So we're trying to do our best, and our vet team is doing some research, but a lot of it is just how can we provide these elephants with sanctuary.
Do you have an on-site veterinarian who specializes, I mean, because
We do.
going to whatever, you get a general education when you finish.
Yeah.
You have to.
So we have a vet team of 4 people. We have a part-time contract vet that's been with Sanctuary since 1995. We have a full-time vet. She actually moved here from the Birmingham Zoo, Birmingham Zoo in Alabama. She had worked with all animals before that. And then we have 2 full-time vet techs that actually came from critical care in just companion animal, but critical care and emergency care really helps you to be able to take care of a lot of species. And so you can kind of evolve that to work with a lot of species.
And do you work sort of vicariously with a veterinarian school, medical, no?
So we do our necropsies with Georgia, University of Georgia, and the University of Tennessee sometimes. But University of Georgia has a really great necropsy program that they're teaching kids how to do that on some exotics. And so they'll come up anytime we have a necropsy and do some of the sampling and do some of the procedures with us. But our team is also trained to do that as well. Yeah.
Anybody?
Can I have one last thing?
Okay.
We were just approved by the Tennessee State Legislature to get license plates for the elephant sanctuary.
Nice.
So on our website, you guys can, if you want, we're trying to get 1,000 people to commit to the license plate so that we can have a elephant sanctuary license plate. Edie, the Knoxville Zoo elephant, is a highlight because she's a Tennessee girl like the rest of us. And so if anybody's interested, go to our website, elephants.com. Also, if you have anybody that's really great working with volunteers, we're hiring a volunteer coordinator, so reach out to me. Hey.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
I feel like so this is a very personal question, but our childhood elephant, where I grew up, came to that elephant sanctuary. And she's passed away long ago. Her name was Bunny. And
She was at the elephant sanctuary, yes.
She came there. She was by herself in a small city, zoo.
Evansville.
Evansville, that's right, for a long, long time. The children, my mother was part of the group that actually raised money to buy Bonnie, and children gave a dime. And they all collected money to buy. But anyway, when she got there, she immediately recognized, this is so the story goes, she immediately recognized an elephant that she had been in like a circus with or something forever ago.
Wow.
And they immediately recognized each other, and then, hung out together until I think both of them probably have passed away. So when elephants come in, how do they kind of like acclimate and make new friends, and I mean, I know that's like adding human characteristics to an animal, which is
Yeah.
always great, but elephants are so smart.
They're very
So-
smart.
So how do they kind of develop their relationships?
Every elephant's different. We had an elephant that lived with us for about a year, named Donna, who came in and she had so bad anxiety that she was very anxious to meet the other elephants, and it was a very slow process because we don't want to put elephants together if they're not comfortable. And then there's other elephants that the day that they get there, they want to be together and they spend their time together, and that's how they work, and everything in between. And we let them choose what they want, and they're going to show us through behaviors and things like that. Do they want to spend time together? When they want to spend time together, and everything in between. So you will see that, but we let the elephants tell us in their own ways.
Great.
Yeah?
Okay, well, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah.